to the God is a Geek podcast, your new favourite podcast about video games, Apple showing off the iWatch, Chelsea getting knocked out of yet another tournament, and the word fracas is used more than ever in its entire history, all because of Jeremy Clarkson. I am your host, Colm, and with me this week is the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour. What you see is what you go. Oh no, I fucked it up! Oh no, I fucked it up! Oh no! Oh, it's Nailz! It's Dan! Naylor! Nailz, I'm so sorry.
It's alright. Hi man. I was gonna say, I was thinking as you say it, I was like, oh, I'm amazed how he does this every time. He nails it spot on and you fuck it up.
Yeah, pardon the pun. I didn't nail it that time. And you know, I suppose your average podcast, whatever, they would just say, okay, stop. We're gonna stop the podcast. This isn't live. That's the magic of podcasts. You can press the orange button there in Audacity and just delete that file and start again. But no, not here on the God is a Geek podcast. We just roll. This is live to tape. Anything we say, incriminating or otherwise, it just goes on the internet because fuck editing that much. I don't want to. Anyway, Nailz, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you, mate. Very good. Yourself?
It's not too bad. Fantastic. It is just a kind of a two-man this week. So I suppose with that, I wanted to ask you, because we have a bit more time, Nailz, I wanted to ask you about a certain kind of a happening this week. If you would indulge me and the listener about your Tuesday.
Oh, my Tuesday. Oh, okay. We're doing this. Yeah. So for listeners who don't know, I live in Manchester and I was going to an industry event on Tuesday afternoon. We'll maybe talk a bit about that later on. Mm-hmm. But that involved travelling down and I decided to use the Mega Bus. Other coach companies are available. And because it's nice and cheap and I'm sure, it's like 12 quid for both ways, basically.
Sounds all right.
Yeah, which meant leaving the house at 5:30 Tuesday morning. But, that's fine. I can deal with that. I'll sleep on the coach.
Okay, yeah, perfect. All sounds swell so far.
Yeah. And we got on the coach and we're about half an hour down the road, not quite the motorway yet, but in the middle of nowhere. And one of the passengers starts having a panic attack, basically. But we didn't know this at the time. She was just struggling to breathe. And what followed was 2 hours sat at the side of the road while 2 ambulances came to try and sort her out, and she was fine, but she refused to get off the bus and talk to them in the ambulance and things. So they were basically, we had to wait as well for the ambulances to get there, and it culminated, very long story short, in her being dragged off the coach by the police because she refused to move. So yeah, that was a great start to the journey. Right,
okay. Started the story, not very funny, this woman having a panic attack. It's like, oh shit, are you alright? Turns out, as you say, she's okay. Great. Now, why didn't she get off the bus? Did the actual,
we don't really know.
Did the paramedics have to come on the bus and check her and go, okay?
The first paramedic kind of arrived and it was one of those, not a proper ambulance, but just a car, like an emergency response. The car ambulances,
thing. Yeah.
And she got there and she was helping this woman and she basically there's nothing medically wrong with you, but we still need to do these checks. So when the big ambulance comes, we're going to need to take you over there and do these checks because some of them you don't want this information out in front of everyone in the bus. You don't want to say it all, which fair enough, nice for them. Mm-hmm. And she wouldn't have that. She wouldn't have that at all. She was insisting that she was fine. She just wanted to go to London. She just wanted to talk to her sister on the phone.
Okay, all right, that's what I was going to say. Why? Yeah, did we get any insight into this woman's personal life? Why was she going to London? Was she going to meet her sister or go shopping?
I don't really know. I was trying not to eavesdrop too much. It got harder the longer that it progressed. But yeah, we've been about half an hour. This first paramedic arrives. Next one, the full ambulance arrives about 15 minutes later, and they're trying to basically they're asking her some questions. She's not really cooperating too much, and they kind of know she's fine, but the bus driver's already said that she's not taking her any the rest of the way, because if this happens again, what do they do, kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah, all makes sense.
Fair enough, completely fine. And she basically is like, well, we don't want to. We legally need to check you over because we've come out now. We legally need to do this. And the woman didn't seem to grasp that. I was like, no, I'm fine. I just want to go to London on the bus. And youngish woman, maybe mid-20s here. Just kind of kept getting worse and worse. And eventually they were like, look, we're going to have to forcibly remove you from the coach, which will mean getting the police here because we can't do it. And she was like, no, I'm fine, just leave me alone. You're the one stressing me out at this point, kind of thing. Basically started throwing a tantrum at the front of the bus. So they called the police. We had to wait 15 minutes for them to arrive. They were very nice, very patient at first, and it got to the point where they're like, final warning, we're going to throw you off. We're going to have to drag you off the coach if you don't move. And she basically went, no, not moving. So they went to basically grab her, and she went, I'm not a child, I can walk on my own, and walked off the bus. Yeah.
No, how long? What was this? How long did you say? 2 hours or something?
Just under 2 hours here. We were.
Fuck! I would just be going. Are you serious? Why did you not just walk from the word go? Oh God! How inconsiderate!
I know. I mean, at first people. We're all very kind of like, oh God, is she all right? And there was a student nurse on the coach, and she basically came on, offered her services to help out before the paramedics arrived, which is very good of her. And at first we were like, okay, fine. And when she just seemed to be a bit stressed, it's like, okay, you had a panic attack, so you're not medically ill, but we'll still feel sorry for you because you're obviously in a stressful situation. Yeah. After the first hour, and when it was clear there was nothing wrong, and she just kind of wouldn't get off the coach, we were kind of like, no, seriously now, you're delaying us a lot here. And people were missing flights. One person in front of me had an Oxbridge interview.
Fuck.
That was fun. And so it just kind of kept building up. There was also this really sexist old man at the back of the coach who was speaking very loudly about how a man wouldn't do this kind of thing. Wasn't good.
No, but obviously your day, once the woman actually did get off the bus, your journey just went very smoothly. Yes.
No, it didn't. We've been going less than an hour from this point, and we pulled over again. There was an alarm going off, a little alarm just in the coach, and the driver was like, I need to just turn the engine off for 5 minutes, turn it back on, it resets the computer. She did that, and basically it sounded like a new alarm came on, louder, more insistent. Basically a car alarm this time, but for the coach.
Fuck, right.
So we were parked there for about 20 minutes while she sorted that out. She was on the phone to obviously their, mechanics department. Right, fine, okay, not a problem. Keep going, and we're just outside London, and apparently the driver informs us that the toilets are broken or something, or because we've now been on this coach far longer than we were meant to, they're not in any fit state. So he needs to pull over at the site. The next service is for 15 minutes to give us a break. We're like, right, fine, 15 minutes isn't in the grand scheme of things, by this point doesn't matter. Okay. Half an hour after we'd stopped at the services, we're still parked there. We're kind of at this point, we're asking the driver, why aren't we going? And another coach pulls up alongside us, and all the passengers on it start getting off and queuing next to our coach. Okay, this is a bit strange. Are they coming? This is some spaces. Okay, are they just coming into London with us then to save space? No, we need to swap coaches for no apparent reason to this other coach, which involves the drivers moving all the luggage as well from both coaches to the other one, all the passengers getting off, gathering our things, going into the other coach. No explanation why. No apology. And so we finally get into London about 3 hours late.
Fuck it. You're a better man than me. I would be absolutely raging. I'd just be... What?
Yeah.
I know there's literally nothing you can do. But it's like, come the fuck on. No, eventually when you did get into London, I believe you got to see a game.
I did get to see a game. I got to see Mortal Kombat
10, isn't it?
I think it's X. I'm pretty certain it's pronounced X. Even though it's the 10th game, it's X.
Okay, Mortal Kombat X. Is this
Mortal Kombat X?
Are we still putting X in things because it's like 2002? Is this, you know, what's going on here?
Well, I don't know. But
so did you? Do you have much history with the Mortal Kombat series? Did you play the last one?
I didn't play the last one. The only one I've really played any amount of was it the Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe or something like that.
Okay,
a mate of mine used to have that when I was at uni, and we used to play each other on that quite a bit. But that's my only real history with the game. So I was great surprised that I sat down, started the game, and it makes you feel like a badass straight away. No matter, I don't really play fighting games at all, and I was pulling off combos. It felt really slick, really smooth. It was just a really cool experience from the moment the pad gets in your hand.
So is it easy enough to kind of pick up in terms of, like you said, you're pulling off combos from the word go?
Yeah, really easy to pick up. Obviously, it's got quite a lot of depth to it as well. I didn't even try doing any of the finisher moves because they look far too complex. But, it's got that thing when you hit pause, you can see a move list, you got all them. Some of the simpler ones, they still all look really cool and are really effective. It's not like you need, the much better, the much longer or harder combos are going to, be the ones that everyone uses down the line. I think the basic ones are still going to be, in the mix and stuff. But it was just really fun just to pick up and play. And yeah, obviously brutal as you'd expect from a Mortal Kombat game. Characters get bloodied. There's one where you can see bones fracturing and things like this.
Lovely.
Yeah, well, as you'd expect. But yeah, no, it's just a really cool, solid game from the basic combat at the moment.
Yeah. So yeah, it's the preview build that you got to play.
Yeah.
But you did get to kind of mess around with a few of the modes. Like the one thing that NetherRealm have been applauded for one of the things, like over the past couple of years, say with Injustice, the last Mortal Kombat, is the story mode or the single player mode or whatever you want to call it, because they actually, like your average fighting game before them was just, okay, fight this guy, beat him, next guy, and just kind of work your way up the ladder. I suppose, yeah, Tekken is kind of have some kind of weird mental elements, alright, but Mortal Kombat, the one before this one, really went for it. Like, this is obviously has a kind of a similar style, does it?
Yeah, well, the story's a direct sequel. I think it goes from basically straight away from the end of the last game.
Oh, I like when games do that.
Only a little bit, I think, to 25 years in the future.
Oh, lovely, okay.
Which allows it to introduce some new characters. Like, I think some of them are people's daughters and things like this from the previous games. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I only saw a little bit of it. It was obviously the opening that is the bit that I saw, and it kind of explains what's going on, and then there's a bit of you drops into a fight scene, and well, actually, before the fight scene, interestingly, there was a fight on board a helicopter between a couple of the characters that from the roster in the game. I won't say who, but it actually had quick time events in, which I thought was a bit odd, considering you've got only a couple. But I think personally, I'd have rather have just seen a cool fight scene, as that in the game. But then when that's over, you basically get dropped straight into the fight. There's not even like a loading screen. So the characters drop from this into basically one of your fights, and you start going. But yeah, like you were saying, most kind of fighting games have like an arcade style. You pick a character and just work your way up to the top in a series of fights. This, from the sound of it, because I was speaking to the developers, obviously there's an interview of that should be going up on the site next few days. You swap characters quite a lot.
I was going to say that, yeah, because the Mortal Kombat, the last one did that as well, as far as memory serves me. It did, yeah, because Injustice did something similar where you're not playing as, just Johnny Cage, for instance. You're like, you'll kind of swap around from kind of get a kind of an overall Mortal Kombat story where it's encompassing an awful lot of the roster, and this is obviously the same.
Yeah, that's better. Like I said, I've not seen much of it yet, but that's, from the sound of it, that's what they're doing again this time around.
And what other kind of modes is the what was the name? The kind of tower mode? Is it called that?
So the previous game had Challenge Tower, And that was basically a fixed mode that you could play through, and it had various modifiers, I think, in as you went up, and various enemies and things like this. And it got harder, obviously, as you go up, climb the tower. So it was basically just a series of stages with different modifiers and things on. This time round, to kind of keep you coming back, they've got they've developed living towers. And there's 3 types of these. There's quick ones which change every hour, daily ones which change every day, and then I think they're called premier ones that will be for special events and things. Okay. So these are challenges that are going to constantly be updating, a bit like Destiny's weekly and daily strikes, where, you know, there's different modifiers and you can have a go and do this, you know, on this day kind of thing, or you do it this hour and then an hour's time you've got a new challenge ready to go, which sounds pretty cool. I must admit, I didn't see it in action. But again, they seem pretty enthusiastic about it. Well, you know, this is their new mode and stuff.
Yeah, that does kind of sound like an interesting addition to the challenge tower. Like you see a lot of games nowadays, kind of doing that. Like you mentioned, like a kind of a daily challenge or whatever, like Spelunky or Ollie or whatnot.
Yeah, I think it's just to keep people playing it after the period of, you know, the initial excitement's died down. And
it especially with like kind of like a Spelunky, or even more so an Ollie, or what I'd imagine the Mortal Kombat one to be, where it's fairly quick. So if you're in that main menu, it's like, go on, I'll have a go at the daily thing, and you just go in, just do it, and that's it. You just kind of move on.
Yeah, I think so. On the preview build, there was an option for it. And I think, you just click it, you just straight in. I don't think it's, you know, there's no waiting around.
Was there any other kind of modes or any other little kind of bits to see?
Well, there wasn't many more modes. They're being quite cagey on what other modes are in the game. Again, as you'll see in the interview, one cool thing is faction wars that they've got going. Basically,
I've heard about this. Yeah, explain.
Right. Well, it's not tricky to explain, but basically, at some point, I'm assuming right at the start of the game, you'll pick one of 5 factions. Simple enough. And every player does this. And from whatever you do in the game, every match you play on every mode, you'll unlock points for that faction. And these will go to a global leaderboard. And at the end of the week, the winning faction will be announced, and there's some perks for being the winning faction or for contributing a lot of points for your faction, and they're unique to each faction. But one really cool thing is the points. The global leaderboard comes from every single platform. So players on PS4, Xbox One, PC, mobile as well. I think they'll all just be on one platform competing on that one leaderboard, which is a pretty cool thing. I don't exactly know what the perks were. Again, they're being very quiet about what kind of, you'll get for doing this, but it's a cool idea, and it makes, you're part of something bigger no matter how you play the game.
Well, hopefully it's not just, make your character wear a yellow thing instead of a blue thing or whatever. Like, hopefully it's not just a costume change. If it actually is, I suppose, what would it be then? Because then you fuck up the balance then, really.
I don't know, you see, because but each character has 3 types of abilities you can pick before a fight. And it basically gives them a couple of new special moves each time and changes the costume, funnily enough. Okay. So I'm wondering if it's maybe a version of that. This is pure speculation. I'm not, they haven't told me anything about it, I'm wondering if it's like an extra couple of moves for your character in that sort of sense. The little things, I don't think they're necessarily going to unbalance. I didn't get enough hands-on time with the abilities I saw to test it out. I don't think they're going to unbalance the game. I think they just take an aspect of a character and kind of improve it or make up a little bit of a deficiency they had somewhere else.
Like, has your time with Mortal Kombat X, has it turned you into a believer, Nailz? Will
you know what? I think I actually might pick this up. I think I will. It's I've never really had much interest in fighting games other than Smash Brothers, to be honest. But it was slick. The story seems quite interesting. And it actually had the fact that it has a story rather than
other fighting games, which are just non-existent.
I think that could be pretty cool.
Speaking of cool things and stylish things and violent things, over the past week I have been playing Hotline Miami 2.
Oh, have you now?
I have. I reviewed it, and you can see the full review on the site if you wish. And I don't know if you know this, Nailz, but I adored Hotline Miami. When that game came out, I played it. I actually remember when I played it because it was when did it come out? 2012, yeah. And I played the original Hotline Miami after our Game of the Year deliberations for 2012. And I was like, oh, you bastard. Because Hotline Miami is, in my personal view, just unbelievable. Music, visuals, the fucking Twitch gameplay, the mechanics are just near pinpoint perfection. It's just an absolute joy. Now, Hotline Miami 2, for me, isn't quite as good as Hotline Miami, but at the same time, it still is absolutely brilliant. And like, I've seen some people say that they prefer it, some people don't. I mean, there was actually a tweet from Denton Games, the developer, when the Hotline Miami 2 embargo was up, and they were saying something like, well, the reviews are in, and Hotline Miami 2 is either people's favourite Hotline Miami game or their second favourite Hotline Miami game. Because, it's obviously very similar to the original Hotline Miami, because like a sports game, I suppose, it's very hard to change up the formula without fucking with it completely. Because it's like, did you ever play Hotline Miami?
I did. I played the first one on my Vita and absolutely loved it. Like,
it follows a very similar pattern all the way through. You start a level, there's a floor of however many, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 mobsters or whatever, all carrying knives, guns, whatnot. You must go in there, kill all of them, then go up the stairs up to the other floor in the building and clear there, then go up again, and there's normally later stages, maybe about 3 floors. Kill everyone, leave. Hotline Miami 2 does the exact same thing. And I suppose they change the gameplay in certain ways, which I don't necessarily think is for the betterment of the series. Because in Hotline Miami, as you progress throughout the game, you got a number of different masks, which gave you different abilities. Like there was one mask which gave you lethal doors, which was a personal favourite of mine, which when a guard was passing, you opened a door and the guard would die straight away. Whereas normally the guards just get knocked down and you have to mount them and pummel their face in or whatever. There was other ones like, it was loads of masks anyway in the original Hotline Miami. In this one, because of the narrative they're telling, they can't allow you to have access to all perks all the time. Because there's upwards of like maybe 12 or 13 off the top of my head characters that you can choose from. Well, not that you can choose from, that the game actively places you in the role of. Like there's a group of 4 fans. Like the game starts, well, so that's another issue I had with the game. Okay, so the story of Hotline Miami 2 basically happens before and after Hotline Miami. So, Jacket from the first game, he went around on his killing spree because of getting the phone calls, and because of that, they're making a movie called Midnight Animal based on the original Hotline Miami, kind of in a Scream type way. Are you with me, Nailz? Remember in Scream, Scream 2 or 3 when they were making the film Stab, which was actually the events of... that was in Scream 2, I think.
Right, okay,
They were making the events of Scream. Kind of that type of deal. There's a detective investigating the case. There's a writer making a book about it. There's a group of 4 fans who are... they kind of basically look up to what Jacket did, and they go on killing sprees at night in a kind of a vigilante of justice type deal. You know, they see it as they're taking out the bad guys and cleaning up the place and stuff like that. And there are way more characters as well. There's like there's a couple of other characters. Now, some of them, like the detective, he doesn't wear a mask, so he has no perks. The writer, the exact same. The only thing that the writer does, which is actually a nice touch, is that because he's a writer, when you're playing levels as him, and you punch someone or you hit him with a baseball bat or whatever, you don't actually kill them. They just fall to the ground writhing in pain, but they're still kind of incapacitated, so they can't get up if you hit him with a baseball bat. And if you pick up a gun, he'll take out the bullets and throw the gun away, because he's a writer. He doesn't want to get mixed up in this crazy, violent kind of world, which is kind of a nice kind of touch. No, it doesn't really help you in terms of gameplay. The four fans, they all wear masks, and they give you kind of different things. Like, one fella wields 2 machine guns, another guy can do a roll dodge, another guy can... There's one character that if you pick is actually 2, which allows you to use a chainsaw, because when you're running around, there's 2 characters. One of them uses a chainsaw, the other one uses a gun. And yeah, like there's another character with masks that has different perks and blah, blah, blah. And some of them don't. And it's kind of, because of the narrative jumping between points in the timeline and not allowing you to use, because in Hotline Miami, when you might find a mask, you go, I like this mask, I'm gonna use this one for a bit, or you might have a couple that you choose from. This obviously doesn't allow you to do that because of the story that they're trying to tell. And I understand that. It's just, as I said, I'm not sure if Hotline Miami benefits from that, because the story itself as well is quite muddled. Like, there were points where I was playing through it and I was really intrigued, and like there were points where the jumping around in the timeline actually kind of worked, but for the most part it did kind of leave me wondering what exactly is going on here. Who is this person? How does that relate to the story overall? And then you might play another few levels, then you kind of half figure it out. It's too much. Now, if they had, as I said, there's something like I suppose how many story threads are going through it? There's fucking a lot anyway. If they cut a few of them out, the story would have been all the better for it. It's kind of a too many cooks sort of scenario here. Just too much. They should have just pulled it back in terms of story a little bit. But I mean, it's still Hotline Miami in terms of gameplay. It is fucking brilliant. And the level design is incredible. It's unbelievable how, like I said, I mentioned this in my review, how with an art style that is quite retro, but not in that kind of 8-bit style. Whoa, look at us, we're retro and cool and on the cutting edge and stuff. It's not quite that fucking far, but it still looks like a game from, I suppose, a couple of years back. And the violence that they create from it is fucking incredible. Like, there's a scene at the very beginning. It's a scene that was mentioned in previews about a year or two ago at this stage. And some people were up in arms about it, some people weren't. That scene is fucking very powerful. Like, it, just in terms of like, holy shit, when you're playing it. That's all I'll say for people that will actually play it. But it's like, because of the mechanics being so on point, you can just go into this absolute trance of just murdering everything. And I mean, it is like, when you kind of separate yourself from it, it's kind of like, holy shit, I'm an absolute psychopath. That I'm just, because there's something that some people don't really understand sometimes about Hotline Miami. Some people might look at it and just go, oh, it looks just, you just go in, you just kill everyone. But the amount of strategy involved in a Hotline Miami level is it's nearly second to none. Like, you go into an area and you're standing outside a wall and you can see 2 guys in a room, and one of them might have a knife, the other one has a gun. And say the guy with the gun is patrolling the room he's going to pass the door. So you have to open that door when he's passing, he'll be knocked out. Go straight over to the guy with the knife, get him, then jump on your man on the ground and start pummeling the fuck out of him. Because of the fact that the mechanics are so on point, that the AI is also so on point, and you will die fucking so much. You played the original, you know this.
Yeah.
It's just the amount of deaths that you face is fucking unbelievable. But it is a case of when you die, you are the sole reason for you dying. You fucked this up. Like Super Meat Boy or something like that. The game gives you all of the knowledge and tools you need to actually pass the level. But you will obviously die, because there are points where everything moves so quickly that you might miss something, but that was just through your own maybe through your own laziness, or maybe you're just going to miss something along the way. But it does give you everything you need to succeed, and it's just, the gameplay is just so fucking good, and the music as well. Jesus Christ! Like, I adored the soundtrack in the first one, and I honestly, I wasn't sure if the new one would it, not to mind top it, but would it even equal it? Fucking hell, it's just unbelievable. Now, horses for courses, some people mightn't like this type of music, and if you don't, fair enough, but at least people can actually see how the game benefits from a soundtrack such as this, from that absolute driving techno. Like, because that's what it, because of it being so fast and your movements being so twitch based, that music really kind of, for whatever reason, even though it's so aggressive, the game is so aggressive, for the most part you won't find yourself getting annoyed. Or maybe I'll speak for myself. I didn't find myself getting annoyed. I found myself being more determined to actually pass a level. Nailz, it's fucking brilliant.
I think I'm going to pick it up. But even if I wasn't thinking about it, I think I would be now. You seem to love it, even though, the story maybe isn't quite up to par with the first one.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I adored the story in the first one as well, and there were, like, even if you take out the bikers bit, which kind of happens, it's kind of, that's not really seen as canonical, but there's a fucking cool ending in the biker bit. But, like, across the board, the first one is ever so slightly better.
One thing you said, I mean, you don't get to pick your masks this time round. Do you reckon that's maybe to get players to be a bit more adventurous and try these other masks? Because I know I did in the first one. I tried a couple, found one I liked, and just went with that for the rest of the time. Possibly.
Like, as I say, it's... I mean, this, yeah, it could be a case that they saw, maybe they had the stats that, Nailz played out of the 30 masks that he unlocked, or how, I have no idea, however many were in the first one, he only played with 7 of them, but for the most part he played with these 2, or Colm, out of the 30 masks he unlocked 12, and he did, he only played with this one, or whatever. Yeah, and I suppose that is a fair point. It's just, there are certain storylines, or certain plots where you do have these special abilities open to you, and sometimes they might be like 3 are open, or 4, or whatnot, and some of them are just fucking shit, some of them are really shitty. At least in Hotline Miami, you could run the gambit. You had so many different masks that you could play around with it and go, nah, I don't like that, and restart and go with, Old Faithful. Whereas in this, you don't really have that option. But yeah, you're going picking Hotline Miami 2 up anywhere, yeah?
Yeah, I think I will be, probably next week sometime.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. If for people who love the first one, you're probably going to love Hotline Miami 2. Dan, did you love Diablo 3, or are you loving Diablo 3? I should say.
I've fallen in love with Diablo 3.
Sounds like a song title.
No one ever told me it was this good.
Well, I can't, because I've never played a single Diablo game. But tell me, why is it so good? Have you Is this your first foray into the world of Diablo?
This is my first foray into the world of Diablo. I've nearly picked it up a couple of times in the past, and I never bothered. But I picked up a second-hand copy of it last week, and I've probably already put in, I don't know, I wouldn't like to say, maybe 15, 20 hours in about a week.
Whew, okay.
Yeah, I've really gotten into it. It's just
what's so good about it? Because
the combat's just so satisfying. It's kind of a bit it's I don't know. I'm playing as the mage, and it's kind of a bit got like the spells have got a bit of weight and things, and you just kind of plow your way through hordes of enemies, and it's this perfect cycle of kind of combat, and you pick up all these items like, oh cool, what have I got this time, and just loop and repeat. It's kind of the addictiveness that Destiny's got. Nice. You know, it's like what item am I going to get next kind of thing, but taken to another level.
And like is it a case of like so say on PC some people might say it's just constant clicking, just constant click. Like in this did you say, are you playing on PS4, is it?
Yeah, PS4.
Like are you just pressing square? Like,
well, I mean, the main attack I use is mapped to the right trigger, so I'm basically holding down the right trigger most of the time. But then, you know, if I was in a racing game, I'd be holding that down most of the time. If I was playing COD, I'd be holding that down.
Valid, yeah.
You know, I get what people mean. It is just kind of, you know, using your other powers, you would just kind of hold down another button, but. It's judging what ones to use, and there's so much variation. You get powers thrown at you left, right, and center, and then like various tweaks to them, and you can change them on the fly. It's not like you've got you get certain points and you got to pick one that you're stuck with forever. You could change them every minute if you wanted to, which is kind of cool, because a lot of RPGs you kind of make a decision before you've tested something, and it's like, well, okay, I'm stuck with this, and I never use it because it's crap. Like this time, it's like, oh, I got a new power, I'll see what that does. Oh, it's not as good as what I had, or
That's cool, yeah. Because as you say, it's like, make a decision. Here are two swords. One of them shoots fire, the other lightning. Which do you want? Because you just choose fucking now, and it's like, I don't know. So yeah, the idea of being able to kind of play around with it is kind of cool. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why I've never really been drawn to Diablo. It's just I don't really know. Like, because so many people, like, I don't think I've come across someone who has played Diablo extensively, Diablo 3, and has a bad word to say about it. Like, can you find any negatives in the 20 hours?
I don't know. I think there's some daft stuff, like saves. I'm not entirely sure how they work. I think it's at checkpoints. But if it saves and you get a checkpoint, right, cool, you're in the middle of the wilderness. And this might be me, I might just be doing this wrong. I only worked out that there was a map function today. And you go back, you turn it off and you come back to it later. You'll reset in the kind of hub town, and it'll teleport you to where you last were. There's like a portal that you can just go through to where the checkpoint was. But you'll have lost any like map information until that point, because there's a mini map in the corner that'll be wiped clear, and just little things like that. So I'm not sure why it does that, or why you can't just save it on, or there's not a specific place you can go to save it, even in the hub town. There's not one. So it's like, if I finish a quest and I'm about to come off, I won't go buy some new items or something like that. I'll leave it because I don't know if I'm going to be able to save it before. I'd have to go do something else before it'd save.
Yeah.
So. Other than that, no. To be honest, I can't fault it. If you're into RPGs, or just like this kind of that kind of treasure cycle, you can't go any better than this.
Now, can you go any better than the best? I spoke about how much I love Hotline Miami, and I fucking do. But Jesus Christ, Dan. Now, you're only about 9 years of age.
So you're going to hate me for what I'm about to say, but go on.
Oh, no, Dan, no! Say it ain't so, Nailz. But Abe's Odyssey, fuck me. I spoke about it I think that was last week. I just adored the original game. And while I spoke about how certain things they've changed in Oddworld New and Tasty, I'm not entirely high on, I thought for the most part it's an overall improvement. And here's Nailz to crush my dreams.
I don't want to do it now. Okay, so I never played the original. I had the demo of it on the demo disc that came with the original PlayStation.
Yes, the orange one, is it? The orange cover, I think it was.
No, I think mine was purple, I think.
Was that the one with the T-Rex?
Oh, no, I don't know. No, it was just like a plain purple cover with like demo 1 or something on it.
Go on, Dan, you're fucking breaking my heart
here.
Okay,
so I played a bit of it on my 6th birthday, but 7th, I don't know, I can't remember, I got my PlayStation. But so I played it then, and I never really thought about it again until it came on PSN this month. So I was playing it today, last night and a bit today. I don't know, I don't like it. I don't get it. It's...
Wait, what the fuck don't you get? I'm going to get fanboy here now. What don't you get?
I don't know. I've, so far, I mean, I'm probably not that far in, to be honest. There's not seemed to be any real challenge. I'm just putting that out there. And I get the point is to kind of escape and rescue the Mudokons? Mudokons. Okay, whatever. Come on, nerd. But I don't know. I'm just not enjoying it that much as a player. I find Abe's voice just kind of grates on me. In the worst way. Well,
that was one of my points. Now, I don't know whether you'd like his original voice, but his original voice I found far more endearing.
Okay.
In this one, he just sounds like he has the flu.
Yes, yes, that's exactly it. And it just, I don't know. And then you rescuing these, I don't know. It was back in a time where story didn't matter as much. So how come there's these birds that he can turn into portals to rescue them all, and he doesn't he's never used this before. How does he have that power and none of the others do? And if he's just trying to escape, why doesn't he use it himself to get out?
He's a caring individual.
Okay, well,
he's a humanitarian of sorts.
I get that bit then. I get that bit. But yeah, I don't know. It just seemed a bit... I like a bit more story with my games, and it just felt a bit... I don't know. And it just felt a bit stilted and clumsy. But I have no fond memories of the original, which may be why I'm not enjoying this.
Like, you mentioned about challenge, and some of the challenge has kind of been taken out of this one because of the quick save. Now, there's pros and cons to that, because, like in the first one, it was basically checkpoints, and it would save, I don't know, every now and again, and if you died, you could lose a couple of minutes of progress. But it was fucking hard as fuck. So, like, it could happen a couple of times, and you could be playing for, I don't know, 20 minutes, a half an hour, and you mightn't be able to progress to the next checkpoint or whatever. But in this, because of the autosave, that's kind of eliminated, and you can just save whenever you want. And now, the reason I say there's kind of pros and cons to that is because, yeah, it's not as challenging. But it's like, I'll give you an example. Was that last year? I tried to play Mirror's Edge because everyone was freaking out over Mirror's Edge 2. And I was like, I'm going to play Mirror's Edge and give this a go, see what it's like. And one thing which was so annoying was the checkpointing. Like, it basically wasn't regular enough. And I just kept on dying, and I'd lose so much progress. And as we get older, Dan, you know, time is hard to come by, and it just becomes tiresome to keep playing over and over the same sections. But then, I suppose some could argue, well, there's a skill in that. There's a skill in placing checkpoints in certain areas, not making it too easy or too difficult for the player. And yeah, it's not as challenging as it once was. But it's like, the reason I have so much fondness for Abe is because the story, yeah, it's pretty, you know, it's wishy-washy enough, but it's like, it's effectively just this, like, Abe's race are slaves in this meat factory. They're going to be turned into fucking ice lols or something, and they're fucked. And basically, he's trying to save them all. And what endeared me to the game all those years ago was how you never, similar to how I fucking love Portal. In Portal, you never directly kill anyone. Like even turrets, let's say, right? You never kill turrets. You place turrets against other turrets to shoot each other or kind of things like that. Like with this, you never actually shoot or kill another baddie. You chant and you overtake their body and that's how you do it. And it's just like speaking to the other, like the hello, follow me. And it was just so different at that time that's why I've so much fondness for it. And like all of these remakes and remasters and whatnot, a lot of them are nostalgia based. Like, say, the ones from 10, 15, 20 years ago, like the DMCs or The Last of Us or whatever, because, or Tomb Raider or Sleeping Dogs, because there's like a year or two between them. It's like, they're still pretty much of their time. But when something is so old, maybe people who didn't play them when it was originally out could get lost in them. But Dan, it's okay. You don't like Abe's Odyssey? That's fair enough. You are dead to me.
I'll tell you what. I'm going to play some more of it, and next week I'll come back on and I'll give you another verdict on it.
Do just come back and go, yeah, it's still shit. Well, and that brings us to this week's talking point. And what a talking point, Dan. Because, speaking of modern games, the most modern game, because it's not out and it won't be out till next year, Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, has been delayed until 2016, spring 2016 to be exact. Naughty Dog announced. On a post on the PlayStation blog, Bruce Straley and Neil Druckmann said, quote, "Since we showed you our first gameplay reveal of Uncharted 4 Thief's End, more of the game and story have come together, and it's become clear to us that the game is much more ambitious than we originally envisioned." They go on and say that, so many years with Nathan Drake means that we want to create a fitting end to his story and blah-de-blah. And look, yeah, basically, long and short of it is, fuck ye, we're going to release it in spring of 2016. Now, the reason I bring this up, because a delay, the delays happen. It's not major news, except I don't know about you, Dan, but I think this is massive news. Because I've compiled a list of a couple of games, right, on exclusives on the various platforms available. But before I list out all these exclusives that are available on the PlayStation and Xbox and whatnot, I want to know from you, Dan, this Uncharted 4 delay, do you think that this hurts the PlayStation 4, or are they okay? I mean, only recently they announced that, was it 20 million PS4s are now out there in the wild?
Yeah.
Like they're in first place, and they're quite a decent bit ahead of Microsoft. But this Uncharted 4 delay, is that going to stilt their 2015?
I think it's going to, isn't it? I think this was the one that was going to make people buy PS4s this Christmas ahead of Xbox One, which has got a bit of a better lineup, I think. We'll obviously hear in a minute, I'm guessing. But yeah, I don't know. It just feels like a bit of a bullshit excuse as well for the delay. That's
another thing I was going to ask you.
It's an ambitious, project.
Exactly. I'm so glad you picked up on the same word I did too.
They've had 3.5 years developing this now, assuming they started at the end of Uncharted 3 and not before, which they could have done. Yeah. And, you're going to know what's, this is, you're going to know how long this is going to take to make, surely. You're going to have some idea of the scope that you're aiming for. And you don't have the gameplay, which we've seen already running and things like this, and not kind of know that this is going to take an extra year or an extra 6 months than So I don't know why this announcement is coming now and not, say, like before Christmas when, at PlayStation Experience where they showed some of the gameplay.
Because, the word ambitious, I think it means fucking nothing. It's become clear to us that this game is much more ambitious than we originally envisioned. What the fuck? What are you trying to say? Is it because the story, you need more time with that? Or, have you added so many new gameplay elements that you need an extra couple of months to implement these? Does Drake get a jetpack towards the end of the game, or fucking,
Well,
you know?
I think using the word ambitious, it blames the game, not the developers.
Yes,
It sounds weird. The game's ambitious. They're not ambitious for what they wanted to achieve. The game is ambitious.
Yeah.
And then the onus is on, right, it's Uncharted 4, it has to be delayed for the game. It's not because this is what the game is and it needs to reach that. It's not we're making this game and we've overreached and we need more time kind of thing.
Because it's a game that has, I don't know, the development has been a little bit strange, because when you think about when it was first, I believe it was announced even at that stage, they had a villain in place, they had a kind of a story, they axed all of that, and they started fresh, and I'm sure it was fucking a decent bit into development. And then they came back with this story, the whole, oh look, it's Troy Baker and Nathan Drake, how cool. They got the guys from The Last of Us in, they placed them in the roles of heading the project, which leads many people, including myself, to believe, are we going to get a really dark, gritty Uncharted? And to be honest with you, Dan, I'm not sure that's what I want. Uncharted is, it is the Indiana Jones of video games. It's this massive summer blockbuster with your wisecracking, good-looking kind of guy in the leading role. Maybe I'll play it and maybe it'll be absolutely fantastic and the gritty take could be good, but it's that type of thing, I don't know, I'm not so sure about. But I think that this is a massive, massive hit for Sony, because, as I say, I have a list of exclusives here for you, Dan. First of all, before I go through this list, off the top of your head, can you think of any exclusives coming to the PlayStation 4 over the next couple of months?
Okay, right. Bloodborne.
Yeah.
Nope, I'm done.
That's where I was. Before I looked it up, I was like, yeah, Bloodborne's coming.
No Man's Sky, if that hits this year.
Yeah. Well, see, No Man's Sky is, well, I'll accept it. It's a console exclusive.
No, I think they've announced that the PS4 version's coming before any other.
Even the PC?
Yeah, I think so.
Is it? Okay. Because, yeah, so I've a couple of games here, like Bloodborne, Godzilla. Do you remember they announced that at...
No.
PlayStation? Yeah, they announced that at PlayStation Experience.
Oh, Christ.
Disgaea 5, which, some people, yeah. Persona 5, which...
Oh, of course.
Is a big one for a lot of people. Until Dawn, which... that campy kind of horror thing could be good. Then you have a couple of indie titles like Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, which is a bona fide PlayStation exclusive. As you said, No Man's Sky. You've Soma, which looks kind of interesting, PC and PlayStation 4. The Witness, PC, PlayStation 4, the Jonathan Blows thing, whether that's ever going to come out. Rime, which is the Michel Ancel thing. Then you have a couple of games that were kind of like released in years gone by or last year or whatnot. You've Tropico 5 coming over from PC, Broken Age the same, Tearaway coming from Vita, and you've a smattering of other little bits and pieces here and there. But other than that,
none of them are big blockbuster sellers that are going to shift consoles. People, the two biggest there are probably Persona and Bloodborne, aren't they?
Yes.
And Bloodborne's, well, it's out this month, start of next month.
This month, I believe. Yeah.
And yeah, that people know about that. That's going to shift. People are going to buy a PS4 to play that. Persona, I don't think they will. I think Persona is mainly appealing to Persona fans. That's not a general, widespread kind of gamer base. So, yeah, I think they're screwed.
No, the games coming to Xbox. Again, you have a couple of like indie titles which are coming to either have been on PC or coming to PC as well, like Super Hot, which is a game I'm very interested in. That's like the time bending first person shooter that looks fucking very cool. You have Elite Dangerous, which has a lot of fans. Smite, I don't know, Stubbsy will play that, I suppose. Below, which is very intrigued, that kind of the capybara indie title. Then you've got like State of Decay, which was already out on Xbox 360. Inside, which is the Playdead game from the makers of Limbo. Then I've included this, but if you want to take it out, it's fine. Quantum Break. It's a maybe. It might come out this year.
Yeah.
We're led to believe it's this year. We haven't had a concrete release date yet, so even if we take it off the list, Fable Legends, it is coming this year, and it is an exclusive.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, exactly. But then, Dan, I'm going to fucking hit you with the big guns. Rise of the Tomb Raider, Forza 6, and fucking bada bing bada boom, the coolest game in the room, Halo 5. Like, bang.
That's quite an end of the year, innit? I think, obviously, Rise of the Tomb Raider's the kick in the teeth there, isn't it?
Big time.
That's the one that...
That's Uncharted 4.
That is Uncharted 4. I don't know. I reckon they might... I always thought when they announced Rise of the Tomb Raider and it was coming to Xbox One exclusively, I thought that they might rush that to get that out. So knowing they've got a bit more time, that might get delayed as well, I feel.
To be honest, if I was a cold-hearted motherfucker and like, what's his chops? Phil Spencer or Kudo, I would be like, lads, get all of these games out this year. Just basically work crunch right now, work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, if I was a cold-hearted businessman. Because, like, they're three, okay, even Forza, right, which some people say has been watered down because of the annual releases, but they've kind of been able to, because of the fact that you have Forza and Forza Horizon, and they are kind of different video games under the same umbrella, they've been able to release them annually without really killing the brand that much. But even with just Tomb Raider, which I don't think is a console seller, but I suppose a console seller to the masses, like to tons of people. Some people might buy a console for Tomb Raider, but it's not going to sell millions upon millions of consoles. But Halo, boom, forget about it. Halo 5 is out. Xbox Ones will be flying off the shelves.
Yeah.
And if Sony have nothing up against it, like The Order came out earlier this year, and I played it and I enjoyed it. It was fine. It was quite good in parts. It was alright. But it's by no means a fucking game you buy a console for.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, Sony need a Gran Turismo or a God of War, which, like, Gran Turismo 7 is apparently in development. We know this. And it's, I think it's slated for release next year or maybe the year after, I think. But I am shocked that a God of War has not been announced. So maybe not in the level of an Uncharted, but fuck it, it's a very well-known franchise and a much loved franchise as well. Like, I'm shocked that there isn't a God of War.
I'm very surprised they've not announced the next Gran Turismo and it's coming this year, to be honest, because by that point, the Xbox One will have 3 first-party exclusives, Forzas.
Jesus, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And Gran Turismo 6 didn't come out that long ago on PS3, and frankly, those models of the cars, how much more could they do to them? Just port them over. Just do a port of Gran Turismo 6. It's something.
Do the prologue things that they do. Something even along those lines.
Yeah.
But I want to even put the question to you. Is Sony going to be in third place for 2015? Because I also have a list of Wii U games. Now, you have, again, like I did with the other platforms, you have games that are coming to Wii U and have been on PC or are coming to PC, like Armacrog, Don't Starve, Octodad. And then you've a couple of exclusives, Wii U bona fide exclusives. Again, all slated for this year. We'll see if they do all come out this year. You have Mario Maker, Splatoon, Yoshi's Woolly World, Star Fox, Xenoblade Chronicles, Shin Megami Tensei X, Fire Emblem, and the creme de la creme, The Legend of Zelda. Now, Zelda, funnily enough, even though I think that could possibly even turn out to be, well, maybe not as big as Halo, but fuck, it'll definitely be one of the biggest games this year. if it comes out this year. Because Zelda is meant to be coming out. Star Fox is meant to be out before Zelda. And I'm still, we still haven't gotten
seen anything from Star Fox.
Yeah.
They've said that, though. They might just bump Star Fox to next year if they're ready with Zelda.
Well, I personally would, yeah. Zelda is the one you want out before Star Fox in my estimation, just to try and get Wii U's off the shelves. But looking at that, there's a couple of games in here that I suppose none too plussed about, but I can see how there would be people who would definitely love a Wii U to play a couple of these games. And I don't know, we've mentioned it many times in the podcast before about how there isn't that killer app yet for the Xbox One or the PlayStation 4. There are a couple of very, very good games. I'm talking games you can only experience on these platforms. But there hasn't been yet one video game to be fuck it, you've never played this. Well, you have to get an Xbox One to play this, or you have to get a PlayStation 4 to play this. Whereas the Wii U, okay, fair enough, it has more time than the other consoles. It has more games as well that you can actually do that. And I think that if Sony don't fucking shape up, they could actually have maybe a lesser year than the Wii U. I'm just talking in terms of exclusives and stuff like that, because without a shadow of a doubt, Sony they have been very, very clever over the past number of years of making it a home for indie games. And we see a lot of the games either, being ported from PC to the PlayStation platform, or having console exclusivity on the PlayStation. But they just don't have, and they do need it, they don't have that massive, massive AAA release.
But I think it's too late as well for them to announce one for this year. Because when they're going to do it, are they going to announce something at, GDC last week? That would have been the perfect time, really, if they were going to have something out this year. Yeah. They're not going to have a surprise announcement this E3 unless,
Do they basically say, here is God of War 4 and it's out fucking next week. You buy it, you bastards, give us money.
Short of, them going on stage with Bethesda and going, Fallout 4 exclusive to PS4 out this Christmas, I don't think they've got anything they can do, is there?
You were almost a Jill sandwich.
Metal Gear.
It's me, Mario.
Do a barrel roll.
Oh, this is space. I'm in space.
Hail to the king, baby.
Normally, what we do here, this is our little segment where I test the gaming knowledge of my fellow podders. With a game, as I just said, as Guess Who. But basically, we just have Nailz here. So, you're up against yourself.
Okay, I can beat me.
It's too easy. That's low-hanging fruit. So basically, give it a go, Nailz. We'll see how we get on. This is basically where I give 5 clues to the identity of a video game character, and you, Nailz, must guess correctly. Now, when you think you have an answer, you normally shout out your name and tell me what you're thinking, but it's just you and me. It's fine. But look,
thanks.
And also, normally you have 3 guesses. Fuck it. It's just you and me. To the victor go the spoils. Right, clue number 1. While there have been a number of games released associated with the series I am in, I have only appeared in one in 2014. Clue number 2. I am my father's youngest son and also have a brother and a sister. Clue number 3. I am quite short, yet very regal. Clue number 4, and I think this is where you're going to get it. The person who voiced me also did another video game voice in 2014, for which he got a lot of criticism. Clue number 5. This is nailed on. This is, pardon the pun. This is where you are going to get it. I'm mainly known for the TV show I'm in, where I've had many arguments with my family, especially my sister. She had a weird thing going on with my brother once. Ew.
Shit. Okay, it's Game of Thrones. So is it Tyrion Lannister?
Yay!
Yeah. I had a complete mind blank then.
I see. The past 2 weeks, so we've you've been on, and Adam was on last week, and I've tailored both this week and last week for Calvin. I made this so easy for Calvin to get, and it's like I think he'll be on next week, and it's like, Calvin, I can't do much more for you. I'm trying my hardest here to give you the win.
He won the other week.
Well, he did.
Me. I had to give him The Walking Dead first, but
yeah, that is true. Yeah, you're right. Fuck him. I'm going to make next week incredibly hard.
Just make it, PlayStation centric for me, and we'll be fine.
Great. I'll do. What's your favorite video game of all time? And I'll make it
the
next
Jack
week.
and Daxter series. Go with that. And
okay, I'll make it Jack so next year. So thank you very much, dear listener, for listening to this episode of the God is a Geek podcast. It's imperative that you review us on iTunes, please. But we only accept 5 stars. So please do that, because when you do that, we go up the charts on iTunes, and tell people about us, tweet about us, and be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And also, what else you should do is follow Nailz on Twitter at MacShanks. You can follow me on Twitter at Colm_Ahern, and of course the website that myself and Nailz do things for at God is a Geek on Twitter, Facebook.com/GodIsAGeek, YouTube.com/GodIsAGeek, and GodIsAGeek.com itself, where you can read my review of Hotline Miami 2, you can read Nailz's review or preview, of Mortal Kombat X, and also an interview with the developers, which you said, Nailz, is going up over the next couple of days.
Yeah, should be at some point. I don't know when.
Fantastic. Well, yeah, and there's loads of other things too, like news and reviews and videos and podcasts and fucking loads of shit. So yeah, do head to godisgeek.com and tell everyone that it's your favourite website. Just go outside your front door and just scream it at the top of your lungs. And also, don't get on buses and fuck up Nailz' journeys, okay? So once again, thank you very much for listening. And Dan, it's that time where we have to bid the listener farewell. So say goodbye, Dan Naylor.
Goodbye, Dan Naylor.
And say goodbye, Colm Ahern. Slán go fóill.